We're Still Underground is about two kids who are yet to become individuals that are not yet able to follow their desires. Their childlike nature is shown by the boy reading in a store, and the girl skateboarding, which is typically associated with younger people. They started to push against boundaries, with the girl climbing over a fence, vandalizing a wall with graffiti, and smashing the signs with a bat. This is commonly known as the rebellious phase, which is described to be a time where young people start to develop a sense of identity and ego. Biting into the apple symbolizes a loss of innocence, commonly associated with Adam and Eve taking a bite from the forbidden apple. This is further emphasized by the children's rebellious nature, and from the lyrics, their, quote, partners in crime. Quote, bye bye, that's right, now is the time, let's make it the best show. End quote. This elaborates on the children going off on their own and becoming someone, metaphorically putting on a show where their journey is the story. They're leaving the nest and diving into the world, and in doing so makes the, quote, curtains rise to a comical world, end quote. Meaning that the world is filled with things that are good, bad, and everything in between. The absurdity of the world becomes comical and something to laugh at. The line from As You Like It appears, quote, don't stand there, wait for the 1-2 signal, which means to be ready to take on opportunities to escape into the world that they want, rather than staying hopelessly in the, quote, dark sleepless night. The night often relates to the inner darkness of our minds, mentioned previously in Literary Nonsense. To paraphrase, quote, bring light into this night, no sleep for us, end quote. The line from Dramaturgy, quote, all of us used to be innocent, but then somehow we were typecasted as monsters, end quote, can be applied to the kids from Underground. As they develop a sense of identity, they also develop a sense of ego and monster. The boy himself says, quote, I'm a good-for-nothing monster, shying away beautifully, end quote. Shying away beautifully suggests that he's keeping up a good appearance that is beautiful, but it is heavily contrasted by his inner monster, which is often associated with being ugly. And the lyrics follows with an aggressive action that a monster would do, quote, I'll seal that mouth shut for you right now, end quote. Even though he himself knows he's not perfect, and has his bad sides, he can't help but still want to be loved. Quote, darling, darling, please won't you love me? End quote. A monster branches out behind him in the form of his shadow. I say branches out because the monster physically branches out and later becomes a dead tree in a destroyed city. This event was foreshadowed when the octopus slipped into the shop and broke out of the shop at the start of the music video. The young nature of the kids is emphasized by childish anime drawings, which illustrates the boy's monster, and possibly the girl's as well. Their difficulties as young people who want to become more independent are expressed in the lines, quote, for us who will forever be treated as children, end quote. This is further emphasized by the park sign telling parents to keep their children close. Phrases from parents and the like are expressed in the lines, do your best, and it's for your sake, making the children feel like that they must do things and follow a certain path set out by their parents. They feel this pressure, and straying away from this path and doing their own thing becomes, quote, you can't do that, and you can't do this, as expressed by the lyrics. Not being able to do things on their own terms by the line, I can't even do simple things, which prevents them from being themselves, emphasized by the line, we're about to lose sight of ourselves. Due to the lack of freedom, there's no place for them to escape to and act on their desires, making them remain underground. The symbolism of freedom is further shown by the birds flying between the scenes, as well as the girl on the internet when talking about escaping. This suggests that many people find an escape on the internet because access to the internet allows individuals to express things without restriction and find others, like themselves, that would be harder to do in real life. Quote, we who are indecisive, our voices drowned by impatience, end quote. Those around us push us to choose their right path impatiently, without allowing us to explore ourselves and be indecisive on what we want to do with ourselves. The indecisiveness of the boy is shown when he is lost, unable to choose a path to take, as he stood there in front of a fork, not moving towards either of the paths. The different paths were further illustrated by the signs displayed yes, no, agree, disagree. The boy's initial inability to decide on what he wants to do with himself is expressed further in the line, quote, "At first I didn't believe there'll be anything to move my heart," end quote, which made him comfortable with following a path set by others because he didn't have anything moving his heart yet. The desire or dream hadn't developed. This made him fall into a comfortable space where, as the line suggests, at first, meaning that he later did find something that did move his heart, and he couldn't let go of it. Quote, "I hate myself for not being able to let go of things," end quote, as this desire would lead him to go into a place that is uncomfortable, as he is deviating from a path that was set out for him to follow. He goes on to describe his desire as, quote, "Those days I saw in my dreams were proof for me," end quote, and sharing this dream with others who don't understand, quote, mocked him, and so he decided to say, quote, "Goodbye to this town," end quote. He doesn't feel as though he fits in with this town, and as his desire grows, the town is destroyed. His deviation from the norm is shown further from being in a different world. The boy's world is called the Red World, from the lyrics "This World to You." His world is filled with monsters, while the girl's world is normal in comparison, called the Blue World. Red and blue are complementary colors. They fit nicely with each other, and can mean that the Red World is a representation that is beyond the physical, as in emotions which are not physical. And Eve himself describes the monsters as zingais, which are manifested from the heart, while the Blue World is more to do with the physical world and a more traditional path. Even though she's in a different crowd, she's looking back towards the boy and later follows him when the town is being destroyed. Even though they both escaped from the monster, there is no sign of the girl in the end, which could mean that she was part of the boy's imaginary world, or they went their separate ways. Another reason discussed by other people on why we don't see the girl again could be because she didn't reach adulthood, as others have suggested that the monster is also a representation of the Hiroshima bombing, causing sickness in the children from the radiation, and we briefly have a photo of Japan being rebuilt in the end. Additionally, it could mean that the girl's zingai, represented by the drawing of her with horns, could have been an overwhelming experience, just like how the boy manifested his monster, but in her case she was consumed by it, and this could have been foreshadowed from the poster behind her. It looks as though she's about to get hurt. The idea that the poster is foreshadowing events is strengthened by the fact that the kids and the giant zingai is drawn behind the girl in another scene when she's staring at her phone again. While my videos discuss on how Eve might be constructing his music videos, Eve himself inserts this part of the process into his music video, making the audience more aware of this fact through metafiction. During the whole music video, the lyrics had been written on the signs, which emphasize that the whole music video is a form of self-expression. The last line are written on the boy's desk, just like how the first lines were written on the boy's desk. The whole music video was being expressed by the boy, which is why it starts and ends in the boy's room. You see a guitar in his room, alongside with other items which appear to be in the music video. Considering Eve has expressed himself in multiple other songs, it fits to find other Eve characters and lyrics from other songs to appear in We're Still Underground. The boy being the author of the music video helps illustrate that the music video was the boy's inner thoughts or feelings, emphasized by the monsters, which mainly exist in his own mind. This is similar to Eve writing his music. However, what exists in your mind doesn't exist in the real world. For example, you can have a thought, but if it's not written down, then there's no evidence of that thought ever existing, and only you know about its existence as long as you can remember it. So when Eve or the boy writes lyrics, it puts his thoughts into existence in the form of fiction, which is a story that exists in the real world, but is considered not real, as we understand that the events in We're Still Underground are not real. What this fiction allows us, the audience, to have a shared space with Eve and his characters, where Eve can talk to us inexplicitly through the music videos. If you want to know more about how we, as the audience, interacts with Eve's work, I highly recommend reading Eve's Theories post. When the boy is leaving, it's as though Eve is talking to us. Quote, "That day when it was tough, and we laughed," end quote, could be how we use his music to make light of difficult situations. Quote, "Those thoughts we couldn't say and kept inside" refers to the thoughts that you keep to yourself. Quote, "Will always remain imperfect, as you'll always have problems and shortcomings." Quote, "We may not return to those memories, as it's better not to dwell on the past and move on." We're Still Underground is the last song alongside This World to You in the Otogi album. Otogi meaning fairy tale, which is what he named the album after finishing all the songs. Which is very fitting, as the album is meant to bring people into a dream and be an escape from reality. And with the song Dawn, it encourages you to wake up from this dream. Quote, "It's a sign for the last chapter," end quote. Could be referring to this song being the last chapter in the dream you're having with this album. Quote, "Do you have any regrets? Is there something that you've been meaning to do but haven't?" Quote, "It seems your turn on the stage has come," referring to you waking up from this dream and going back to the real world. This is a reference to the concept of dramaturgy, where the world is your stage. The boy is telling you that there won't be any, quote, "reruns" in life. And that's why you need to get going like him, because right now, we're still underground. And if you'd like to see a video discussing about bringing your dream into reality, click on my video about Raison. And until next time, take care.